Well, the game of the week, and quite frankly, one of the best games we've seen so far this regular season, will take place tonight in Foxborough when the Houston Texans go up there to face the New England Patriots. New England is currently installed as a 3.5-point favorite on BETDAQ. 51 is the total. Now, the Patriots got off to a slow start this season. 3-3 through 6 games. They've really picked it up, though. They've won 6 in a row, 9-3. They've locked up the AFC East. I mean, we've seen this movie before. Number 1 in the NFL in yards per game. Number 1 in points scored. They have the single best offense in the NFL. And for those of you who thought their offense would be slowed down or would take a slight step back after they lost Rob Gronkowski to injury a couple weeks ago, Gronkowski, of course, the best tight end in the game, Tom Brady's favorite target, it hasn't slowed them down at all. They've combined for 72 points in the last 2 games. They have a test tonight, though. The Houston Texans, 11-1. They now have the best record in the NFL. They were tied with Atlanta for the best record in the NFL, but of course Atlanta lost to Carolina yesterday. So it's Houston, and this team has looked like the best team in the NFL throughout most of the season. I mean, there is no more balanced team. Houston is second in the NFL in points scored, second to New England, and fourth in points allowed. So they do it on offense and on defense. New England has improved on defense this year. They're middle of the road in terms of points allowed, 16th in the league. They still struggle in the secondary. New England is 29th in the NFL defending the pass. Now, how much of that is because they're really bad in the secondary, and how much of that is because teams are always having to pass to keep up with Tom Brady in this offense? It's probably a combination of both. And the New England secondary has been playing much better since they acquired cornerback Aqib Talib from Tampa Bay. Talib will probably be matched up with Houston wide receiver Andre Johnson for most of the night. Even though Johnson is not quite the player he once was, still a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL and has really picked it up over the last few weeks. Houston has opened up their offense over the last few weeks. You know, for the first half of the season, they were primarily a run-first team because really they didn't have to do much else. Arian Foster, one of the best backs in the league, but they've tried to ease up on Foster's workload a little bit these last few weeks, apparently trying to keep him fresh for the playoffs. They've opened up the offense. It's worked really well. Matt Schaub throwing it around, showing that he can still do it. When early in this season, people were questioning Schaub's arm strength, thinking that I was hearing people call Schaub a game manager. But no, I think Schaub is one of the best 10 or 12 quarterbacks in the league, and he should be able to have good success tonight against this New England secondary. Now, the question is, will the Texans defense be able to hold up against this New England offense? Because we mentioned they're 4th in the NFL in points allowed. I mean, they've been an excellent defense all year, an elite defense, you would have said a few weeks ago, but these last 3 games, well, last week against Tennessee, they played well, but the Titans are limited on offense with Jake Locker. They don't throw the ball very well, but the 2 games prior to that against Jacksonville and Detroit. Now, Jacksonville, they're limited on offense themselves, but Chad Henne, Jacksonville's backup quarterback at the time, starter now, lit up this Texans secondary to the tune of 353 passing yards. Matt Stafford did the same thing next week. So Houston, after ranking in the top 5 all season in pass defense, has now plummeted to 16th. And it makes you wonder. You know, they've dealt with injuries in the secondary. Bryce McCain placed on IR recently. Jonathan Joseph missing the last game, even though he is expected back tonight. They're banged up. I mean, is this secondary, has it been exposed, or was it just a couple of bad games there against Jacksonville and Detroit? We'll find out a lot tonight, because if they're able to even slow down Tom Brady in this New England passing attack, if they're able to limit Brady to 250, 260 passing yards, somewhere in that neighborhood, and if they're able to hold New England down around the 20, 23-point range, then Houston will probably win this game, because I do think they're going to move the ball. But do I think they're going to be able to slow down the New England offense? I have serious doubts. You know, I don't know. I tend to be on the side of, I think the Texans secondary might have been exposed a little bit these last couple of weeks. When you look at their schedule, they really haven't played many teams until, of course, they face Detroit, who leads the league in pass yards per game. But not many teams who pass the ball particularly well. They played Denver early in the season, but Peyton Manning lit them up. Also played Green Bay, and that was their worst game of the season. Green Bay rang up 42 points on them. So you look at it, and really every team they've played who's proficient at passing the football has been able to have success against this Houston team. And there is no team more proficient in that than the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. So we shall see. Should be a great, great game tonight. And, you know, when I looked at this game, I've been trying to talk myself into Houston. I like Houston. I like backing this team. I mean, they've been a great team to back, undefeated on the road this year. They've covered every game but twice. And remember, they went on the road. They were a 9-point favorite, I believe, against the New York Jets. That game was closer than people expected. They also beat Detroit by 3 as a 3.5-point favorite. But they've won every game. They're perfect on the road. 4-2 on the road, 4-2 against the spread on the road. I'm ready for some new blood in the AFC. I'm sort of rooting for Houston to dethrone New England. We know New England is as close to a dynasty as there is in the NFL, but you know what? I'm not willing at this point to risk my own money on it or recommend that you risk your money on the Houston Texans. Maybe I've been brainwashed seeing New England year after year, but in a spot like this, New England at home, and motivationally, I like this. I like this spot for New England here because the Patriots, as we said, they're a dynasty. They won the AFC last year. I know they haven't won 6 Super Bowls over the last 10 years, but as close to a dynasty as we have in the NFL, that is the New England Patriots, and we haven't heard them talked about much this season as the best team in the NFL. We have heard that said about Houston. We've heard it said about other teams. San Francisco earlier, even though that hadn't been said much lately. The Atlanta Falcons, even though that won't be said much for the next couple of weeks. And even lately, we've heard people say the Denver Broncos might be the best team in the NFL. After all, they've got it rolling on offense, and their defense right now is playing just about as well as their offense. We haven't heard that many people say that about New England. Don't think that's gone unnoticed by the New England Patriots team. This is a prideful team. We've heard Tom Brady in the past, usually says it after games, but we know he uses certain things for motivation. This guy, he has ears. He hears what's being said, and it's not lost on this New England Patriots team that Houston has been thought of as the best team in the AFC throughout most of this season. And now New England has a chance, prime time, in front of the football-watching world, to show people just who the best team is in the AFC. And you know what? I'm not sure New England's the best team in the AFC. It'd be tough to bet against Denver right now on a neutral field, even though I know New England beat Denver early in the season. But I wouldn't be betting against New England tonight. I have a feeling New England is going to pull out the win tonight. Now, 3.5 makes me nervous. I do think this is going to be a close game. So if I were you and I was going to back the Patriots, I would just not get greedy and back them on the money line. But either way, like I said, I tried to talk myself into Houston. I like the Texans. I like what they're doing. I would like to think they're going to beat New England. I just don't, in fact, think they are going to beat New England. I do like New England to win this game, and I guess I lean towards them covering the 3.5.